I can barely hear myself as it is.
Can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all that matters. Yay. Hello. Happy Saturday.
Hello. We love you.
We love you.
I can't see anyone. It's so dark.
Hi. Have you guys had a good weekend so far?
Yeah.
Aha! Now we can see your lovely faces. Yeah, so this is, my name is Cherami Leigh, and I'm a voice actor and I'm camera actor and a writer and such. And you are?
I'm Eric Mendez, and I am just voiceover, not a trifecta like Cherami is. Or I don't even know how many you named.
I don't know. It's, you know. Yeah, I feel like we've probably seen and met some of you guys yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's good to see you guys again. This is our Sailor Moon panel. However, you want to give our disclaimer?
Yeah.
We're not going to be mad if you guys want to ask questions that are not Sailor Moon related. We're not going to flip the table at you right now. Feel free to ask what you want to ask. I guess since it is Sailor Moon, we should say who we play. I'm Sailor Venus in Sailor Moon.
I'm Sailor Uranus, and we're in the new dub.
Yes.
I know, I have a lot of people, I'm sure you do as well, that come up to me and they're like, oh my god, you were part of my childhood. And I'm like, no, I was 13 when that came out. There's no way.
Which is also exciting because I had someone that was like, it's so amazing. I always pictured the voice actor to be older when I was watching it as a kid, and you're so young. You're like the same age I am. I was like, thank you so much for your kindness. But yeah, I just don't age. I've been this way for 30 years. I was born 28. Just didn't age. I don't know. Yes. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
In the movie Ribbit,
Yes.
did you get to meet with Sean Astin?
I did. I very briefly got to meet him. I recorded.
I met him 2 years ago, 2015,
Yeah.
at South Texas Comic Con in here. So I got to meet.
Amazing.
So it's nice I finally get to meet you.
Yeah.
For what?
I was in a movie called Ribbit, which is an animated film with Sean Astin, Tim Curry, and Russell Peters. And actually, Sean Astin's daughter was in the movie as well.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I just sent in an audition from Texas. I don't know how he got my info, but I'm glad he did. And I actually recorded all of my character in Dallas. And then a couple years later, when I had moved to LA, he said, we actually have to do some pickups. Would you be willing to come? And my session was right after Sean Astin's session, so we got to do some publicity pictures, and I met him. And I gave him a hard time for not letting me be a hobbit in Lord of the Rings. I was like, I would have fit so well.
Yeah.
Why would you not give me that opportunity? But yeah, he's a lovely man, really, really talented, and very, very kind. As you know, as you met him.
And I love that movie. You know, it's very adorable. I'm not gonna spoil it, but the close to the ending, I just love that part.
It's so cute. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to work on. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes.
I just met him at a con not too long ago. He's
Oh.
very nice.
He's
Yeah.
super nice.
I got an autograph from my sister because she's super hardcore Lord of the Rings.
He's exactly what you would want from someone.
Yeah.
You know? Does not let you down at all. Other questions? Come on,
Oh.
guys. We're here for you.
Okay.
Yes.
What has been the most difficult, this is for both of you, what has been the most difficult thing you've had so far? Like the biggest challenge of recording Sailor Venus and Sailor Uranus?
Biggest challenge. I think I kind of mentioned this in my panel yesterday, but probably the biggest challenge for me was kind of getting over myself, I think, because this show having an original dub cast and like some of the characters had several voices even before then. It's like super intimidating because people have their favorite like Sailor Moon, their favorite Sailor Uranus, or they like the old just Sailor. I said Uranus, but I meant Venus. But either way, so you know you're always gonna have those people that are like, oh well, you know, if they're not better than what I remember when I was a kid, then this sucks and I hate this and I don't want to watch it. And then they hate like everyone based off that, and it's unfair, but you know it's a thing that happens because the first thing that you hear is going to usually be. It's the same case with subs and dubs. Like the first thing that you hear is usually going to be your canon voice for that character. So I was really intimidated by all of that, and just like feeling like I was doing the character justice, because Uranus is the deepest character I've ever had to voice. And my voice sounds kind of naturally deep right now because I'm kind of under the weather, but even more so than yesterday. But I at first was like, can I even like do this? Like, is this a thing I can sustain? And we ended up, making it work. And we watched an episode.
Is it challenging on your voice at all? Because it sounds so natural. And
Oh,
it sounds
does it?
so smooth.
Thank you.
Like I was amazed. The first time I met you was when we did Lala Loopsy Girls.
Oh, yeah, that's.
And your voice was so high.
Yeah.
And so when I heard you in Sailor Moon, I was like, man, she's got a range. Like that doesn't even sound like she's struggling or pushing at all.
Wow.
It sounds so smooth.
I mean, that's probably just, it comes with the whole, like, your own worst critic thing, because I was always like, oh man, is this even deep enough? Does this sound real?
Sounds awesome.
Thank you, that's so sweet.
Yeah, I was like, man, Erica's got like a range, because her character in Lala Loopsy Girls is so high.
It's probably the highest it can go.
Is it really? Yeah. So those are my first two experiences of you, were the highest part of your voice and the lowest part of your voice.
And then Yuki.
Yeah.
But, yeah, those are probably the hardest for me.
Okay. I think my biggest challenge of Sailor Venus was the exact same situation of getting over the insecurity of like when you show up at a convention, are people going to like throw food at you? And everybody's been very, very supportive, which I should have known from Sailor Moon, that it's such a lovely, loving show, that the fans that love that show are obviously going to be the kind of very supportive, loving fans. And so I think my first experience when we announced us at Sailor Moon Day a few years ago, it was so surreal, and it almost felt like we were just playing, that we were pretending to be these characters. And it took me a full like year and a half to go, okay, I really am Sailor Venus. This is not going to be taken away. This is not a joke. This is real. And so yeah, it was very difficult for me to find, as it is any time that I've taken a character that's been played by another actor. Because I remember when I would watch shows as a kid and the voice actors would change or the animation would change, it would take me a few episodes to kind of understand like this is the direction the show's going in. And as a kid, it was like you'd go, well, this isn't what I know. But for that, I would watch the Japanese. I would watch all of the other, I guess, incarnations of Sailor Venus and see what they had, what was the similarity in how they affected me. What was the common inspiration that I got from all three characters. And then I just built off of that. And I think probably the most comforting thing was the director and the producer saying the Japanese production team for Sailor Moon chose all of you. You were all handpicked. And so any insecurity that I had kind of went away, because I was like, you know what, if they signed off on this, then they heard something that I don't know I have, which I was like, is kind of like Sailor Moon. We've been chosen, and we don't know what they heard, but I guess we just have that essence that we have to keep reminding ourselves is in us. So that's been probably my biggest challenge. People said, was it difficult working on Crystal versus Classic because there's a tone shift? And it was, in the beginning it was hard kind of keeping those two separate, but now I just feel like it was such a gift to be able to create a broader scope of this character and kind of peel back more layers and find out where Venus lives in each of those two worlds of the series. So that was really fun once I kind of figured out where we were going with it. And you'll get to do Crystal soon?
I have
Maybe.
no idea. I hope there's been nothing confirmed yet, but I feel like since it seems like they're doing everything, it might happen at some point. I'm hoping. 'Cause it looks like I didn't watch too much of the first two seasons of Crystal, but I did see a little bit of season 3 because I mean, Uranus and Neptune show up in it, and it looks so much better, and just it just feels really amazing.
Yeah,
like, just visually and like sound wise and like everything story
The
wise.
tone that we were kind of guided towards with that was it's a little more raw, a little more honest, a little more realistic.
Okay.
Which is fun to get to do like the wacky stuff in Classic with a little bit of those serious moments and then a lot more serious moments with a tiny bit of wackiness.
Yeah,
So.
I think that's the wackiness is probably what I'm gonna miss the most. But it's good to know that apparently they still have a helicopter in the serious version.
Good.
So
Good.
I'm excited for that.
Because if not, I mean, what would we do with ourselves?
Right,
Something
exactly.
would be missing. Yes. Liechtenstein, which by the way, did you guys watch the Olympic opening ceremonies last night? Oh my gosh, it was so fun. It was amazing. I did not know, sounds so naive, but I did not know how many countries existed in this world. And not everybody was represented, as not everybody can qualify to compete in the Olympics. But what reminded me of that is I saw Liechtenstein with their flag at going through the opening ceremony, so I was like, yeah, go Team Liechtenstein. I mean, go Team USA as well, but you know. When we auditioned for Italia, I was very excited about it, and I didn't know if there was any role that was right for me. And Liechtenstein was a smaller role, so I got called back in to read for it, and I said, what does Liechtenstein sound like? Like, what is their accent? I'm not very well versed. So we found this really great website, and I really have to find the director and track him down and figure out which website is again, so I could use it for any time I have to learn dialects. It's a website where everybody says the same paragraph of words, and they go to various people in these, because I mean, just in Texas alone, you could say a Texas accent, but there's different types of a Texas accent versus, like, based on East Texas, West Texas, South Texas. So imagine a country, and Liechtenstein is so small, it's surrounded by, I think, 5 or 6 different countries, and those countries have different languages, so they influence the accent. So Liechtenstein was the only country that had no definitive accent. We listened to 5 different sounds, they all had different accents, and I was like, oh, great. So if I do one of these, everybody's gonna say, well, that's not the Liechtenstein I've heard. So we took different vowel sounds from each of the 5 countries. We're like, so this consonant is gonna be from this accent, the vowel is gonna come from here, and we created like a united voices of Liechtenstein accent. So yeah, so that was very challenging as we had to match it every time and figure out what we did, and there will be years that span sometimes before we work on Italia, so we'll just go back and listen to the accent and reference it, but it was such a fun show to work on, and I love that adorable little creature.
You know, I noticed your scarf, but I just noticed your headband.
I
It's so
know!
cute. Where did you get that?
got this, I believe I got in Hawaii.
It's like a little ribbon
It's a
Sailor
little-
Venus. It's so cute.
I got a hair clip as well because I couldn't decide what I wanted, and after like going back and visiting her table 6 times, she goes, I'm almost out. And my husband was like, just buy both of them so we don't come back another day. And then they're like, we ran out of Sailor V and you'll cry. But yeah, so I got this in white, and then when I was in Canada 2 weeks ago, this girl made this scarf. She sells them on Etsy. I'm sure she has your pattern as well. But I have her tag on here. But I was going to take a picture and post it on Twitter, so if everybody wanted to go buy them, because they're really cute. And
Yeah.
she drew it and then got the fabric printed. Ooh, yeah.
I need to stock up on my Uranus gear. That's the best. She has an asked on Lisa cosplayer.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask, do you all ever have you all ever cosplayed before? Or
I have not.
no?
I would love to, but I don't know about you, but I put so much pressure on myself because I see you guys at conventions that look amazing in cosplay.
Oh yeah.
And so I am like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I need to do it right. Otherwise, there's gonna be a heavy amount of judgment on like, that's the voice actor and that's her cosplay. Really? But since you guys set the bar so high, I'm absolutely terrified. I did have someone make me a Sailor Venus cosplay, and I haven't worn it yet.
Oh my god.
But I do want to do that at one point, and I was asking the other girls, like a couple of years ago, I was like, we should do something, but we always want to do, like, there's the Sailor Moon workout on YouTube. Have you guys seen it? It's all the Sailor Moon music, and it's a really hard, apparently, workout. So we were like, we're going to get together and learn this workout, and then we're going to, like, do panels where everybody has to do the workout with us. But I'm sure everybody would be like, no, we'll just watch you guys do it and laugh at you when you fall all over the place. But yeah, I told them, I was like, we should do the workout in cosplay. Like, that would be really fun.
Viral video right there.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Let's hope. So I would like to do it at some point. But I also, someone wanted me to cosplay as Yoshka and Strike Witches, and I was like, you know what, I have requirements for my cosplay whenever that happens. I must have a skirt or pants. And I must have a like pretty large amount of fabric on most of my body. Because I'm not as confident as you guys are. I can't pull some of that off.
Higher fabric to skin ratio.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's gotta be, I've gotta be real covered. If I'm gonna do it.
I actually, I come from the background of being like a huge fan of anime and video games, which is, one of the reasons why I, loved voiceover and decided to get into it. And I used to cosplay when I would just go to conventions as a fan. As of like recently, the last few years, I actually, at Omnicon for Halloween, I did dress up as Ryuko. So that was really fun.
Awesome.
And people really enjoyed it. It was only for a few hours because wigs suck, as I'm sure most of you know. But, yeah, it was like casual Ryuko from like the last episode because just like Cherami, like the fabric to skin ratio has to be very, very high on the fabric side. So, but that's about it.
Can I go ahead? I asked Erica this yesterday, but I want to ask you, do you ever get recognized in public when you're shopping or something?
I used to be not very much, and then every now and then it happens a little more. Actually, usually, since I did Not Cool with Shane Dawson, it's happened a little more than normal. And I guess sometimes since I've done more conventions, that'll happen sometimes. But yeah, no, every now and then. I mean, I had one girl at the airport, and it's usually not like, hey, Cherami. It's like, you look like this one girl who was in a movie with a watermelon. And I'm like, that was me. And then they're like, oh my God, Tori. And then I had one where somebody came up and they were like, this is so weird, but you look like a voice actor. She is in a couple of shows. I was like, oh, cool. And then we finally figured out that they are talking about me, but they'd seen a panel video or something like that. It's happened a couple times, not people recognizing me, but that they'll mention, usually when I'm going to the airport and I'm taking an Uber, somebody's like, so where are you going to the airport? I'm like, well, I'm going on a trip for work, going to a convention. They're like, oh, like an anime convention? Yes, exactly an anime convention. They're like, I watch anime. Do you know, and they like to test me to make sure that I really do know anime. My favorite is it used to be that a couple years ago nobody really knew what anime was. And now when they'll ask me about shows or when I'll say, have you heard about this show, they always know. And I think that's probably because of Toonami and merchandise being a hot topic. It's way more, I guess, accessible for the common person, which I love. Because when I was in high school, it was like you had to find your merchandise, and not everybody knew what you were talking about. So I like that it's like out in the open and everybody's excited about it. But yeah, when I'll be talking to them, and they're like, "Do you know Sword Art Online?" Mm-hmm. Like, "Do you know anybody that works on that show?" I work on that show. Really, who are you? Asuna. And then they, as my Uber driver, will be like taking me to the airport. The whole time becomes like, "What about this show? Are you in this show? Will you do the voice?" Okay, you're in that show. So I usually have to like prove myself. My favorite story about somebody being recognized was Todd Habercorn found somebody wearing Death the Kid shoes at an airport, and he was like, "Those are amazing, where'd you get those?" And I think she said she made them, and he was like, "That's me." And she was like, "Whatever." And he was like, "No, I'm the voice actor for that character." And she was like, "No, you're not." And he was like, "No, I am." And he was like, she got really mad about it. And he is, obviously, in case anybody was ever questioning that. It really is him. But yeah, that was my favorite story about somebody like getting recognized but not. Like she was very passionate about that was not him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cherami, what are your favorite video game roles that you've done?
Oh man, I definitely loved working as Gage on Borderlands 2. That was one of the first games that I worked on. And definitely to be on a game of that magnitude was really awesome. I liked working on Danganronpa because she goes on such an amazing journey. And I've gotten to do in the last couple of months some really cool games that I can't talk about. But one of them, when I got cast, I was really, really excited just to be able to say that I worked on something from that company. And Xenoblade Chronicles was really fun, because I got to be a little weird. I like all the characters that are kind of weird and uncomfortable and talk really fast and say really random stuff. Usually they're mechanics. It's like they say, the way they explain it to me, they're like, your character's really smart and very socially inept. I'm like, I love it. They're like, is that you? Yeah, totally. I don't think I'm really smart though. I'll just hide behind that veil.
One of these days I should get my hands on the Borderlands collection.
Oh yeah.
Crush the system.
Always. Always gotta smash that system.
When you were voice acting as Gage, did you play as her?
I am not really great at video games. I enjoy playing, but I'm not very competitive, so I played with my brother so we could get through the game faster, so I could see more of the game. And my brother, as supportive as he is, once we were playing as Gage, muted the game because he didn't want to hear me in the game. He was like, he goes, Cherami, you gotta understand, because at first I was like, this really hurts my feelings. And he was like, you gotta understand, I play games to escape my real life. I don't want to hear my sister when I escape. He was like, I was like, oh, you know what, I get that. I can understand that completely. Like if you're like, okay, my sister's annoying, I'm just gonna go play video games, and then you go play the video game and your sister's in it, you're like, I cannot escape you. So I will watch other friends play, and that's the other game I like to play when they're playing Borderlands. I'll stand behind them and say Gage's lines echoed behind them. And that was how one of my husband's friends figured out that I was Gage, because he was like, man, this sound system is like stereo. I was like, yeah, it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm right by your ear. Just repeating everything. So I've played a little bit, but mostly it's vicariously through other people. I love it.
My sister's actually kind of the same way, because most of my start with voiceover was me in my back porch, recording for projects online and stuff like that. So every time my sister talks about voiceover with me, she's like, yeah, I just remember when we were kids and you'd just be yelling in the back porch, just talking to yourself, and I'm like, stop, it's good practice, okay?
It is, totally.
And then pretty recently I actually got verified on Twitter because I requested the
Did you
verification and
really?
they accepted it.
How do
So-
you do that?
There's a form you fill out now, and if you give them reasons and credits and stuff like that, they'll usually do it. Some people have gotten denied. I was lucky, I guess.
That's awesome.
But my sister actually, on her Twitter account, she's like, oh my god, my sister's Twitter verified, what is my life?
I don't even think my brother is on Twitter. He should so he can make posts like that. It's true, yeah. It would just be self-deprecative jokes about his sister the whole time. That's good. I'd follow that.
Okay. So can each of you share how you were both discovered as voice actors, what your experience was?
That's how we got started, kind of. For me, I like I said, mentioned before, I've always been, a big fan of cartoons and video games, and voiceover kind of just fell into that category at a certain point once you kind of realize that there are people that get paid to do this kind of thing. And it was something in my teenage years that I kind of always wanted to do once I kind of realized it. So being the shy kid that I was, I kind of forced myself to start taking acting classes and stuff like that, and I took a few here and there. And then eventually, kind of cutting out some of the story here, I moved to Los Angeles and started taking some voiceover specific classes and workouts with a company that you guys may know called Bing Zoom. And Tony Oliver, who's a very prolific person in the industry, does a lot of those classes. And I took a few, and then he decided that he liked me enough to recommend me to the studio. So I did an audition and a wall session, which is the background voices that you hear in classrooms and shopping scenes and stuff like that. And I didn't hear anything for a while, and it wasn't until my boyfriend, who actually also is a voice actor and works with them, he got an audition for the Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures video game, which is a game that they did based off a TV show that they did in Canada. So they wanted to do the video game in Los Angeles and wanted voice matches for the show. So he's like, you can totally sound like 2 of these characters at least. Like, they know you, let me ask if you can audition. So he asked, and they let me, and they really liked my audition, and then, you know, started kind of sending me stuff. And I was really lucky that I got in when I did, because a lot of what I liked to practice when I was kind of doing my own thing before I moved to Los Angeles was boy voices. So, and they needed a lot of those at the time, which was really lucky for me, and that's pretty much all I got cast as for the first 6 months to a year. I finally got to play girls after that. Now that's all I get cast as, so. But I don't care what I play, like I love doing the work, so I'm really glad that it happened the way it did.
That's awesome. Yeah, my story is way less interesting. I just started acting when I was 6. I wanted to be on Barney, and that was like my ultimate goal. I knew as a child if I were on Barney, my life would be perfect. I was never on Barney, so I don't know if my life would have been perfect. But I started doing commercials and things like that after like I had to prove to my parents that I wanted to do it by taking a lot of classes because they knew it was a hard industry and didn't want me to do it. But after I got signed with an agent, I met with the adult agent, and they needed a kid to do like voiceover commercials for 7-Eleven. They needed a 3-year-old to talk about the story of how Slurpees were made with like some underground fairy and all these crazy things. And they couldn't find a 3-year-old that could say all these big words. So at 7, I sounded like a 3-year-old and I got the job. And then I started doing voiceover, and because I was a kid, I just would leave school sometimes every day at lunch and do voiceover commercials and go back to school. And then at 18, I'd had a lot of experience doing voiceover since I'd done it all my life as a kid. And I just went to an audition at Funimation, and that was just like another random audition. I was like, this is so weird, it looks like anime, but it's not, because it's not Dragon Ball, Pokemon, or Sailor Moon, and that's all anime is. But the show that I auditioned for was for Peach Girl, and I got cast as Sai. And then I remember saying to the director, it would be so cool if you guys did like more of these shows, because this would be so fun to like just do this all the time. And he was like, yeah, we have some other ones. I was like, really? Like a lot? He goes, oh, like a lot. So they just kept inviting me back to audition for stuff, and I just kept getting work. And I always would say, I'll keep doing this as long as you guys will not lock me out. And they haven't, which has been cool. So. But it all started with the quest to be on Barney. Green Bay kids.
It's not too late, right?
Yeah, no, I could.
I mean, if you could
I
be a
could
hobbit,
be Baby
you could
Bop,
be,
right?
Yeah. Other questions, guys?
Have you all ever seen the final season of Sailor Moon?
I haven't seen the final season because I saw a lot of what was on when it originally aired, and then I didn't know how to get a hold of it after that. I mean, you got to remember, all I thought anime was Pokemon, Dragon Ball, and Sailor Moon. So if it wasn't on TV, where would I find it?
Yeah.
That was my understanding. So I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't either, but the last season is Stars, right?
Yeah.
I'm super excited to find out, you know, just what happens in general, because I need to catch up with where I'm watching it. That's why it's exciting that, you know, S is coming out soon.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to see how the dub handles Stars and like the characters that are like men in the daytime and women in the nighttime.
Yeah,
Like, it's
I don't
super
know
cool.
how they're gonna choose to with the casting process.
I don't even think they know right
I
now.
know,
They're
they're-
just kind of like.
They're like, let
working
us
it
get
out,
to Super
yeah.
S first.
But it's exciting because Shar, who does all the marketing and stuff for Sailor Moon, is like a huge fan.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she'll make it right.
That's one of the things that I love about working on this dub with Viz is everyone on the production team, which isn't always the case. Sometimes the production team is like, they're producers. They're like, let's get the actors that fit the voices the best, but also can get it done the quickest, so that we can try to get the most cost-effective dub and whatever else. With Viz, they're so passionate about Sailor Moon. Everything is like, even if they're like, it's gonna take more time, We want to make sure that the animation is clean. We want to make sure this is the best product. We want to make sure that it's approved by everybody and that everyone's happy, which is really, really nice. It makes me feel really confident about the final product going out to you guys. Is I'm like, well, I know it's gone through so many hands that love it so, so dearly. And it's nice to be a part of a team that cares so much about something.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, those are some of my favorite projects to work on, where the client or the producers and all of them really care about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's just kind of like, you try to have as much fun with it as you can, but it almost feels like a chore sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes I've worked on a couple projects where you'll do a scene and the director will go, that was good. But after they keep going, that was good. You're like, wait, do you hate it? And you're just like settling? Or what is the deal? The ones that I really like are the ones where the director goes, let's try it again this way. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. And they really, really want it perfect. And once they get it, you're like, okay, this is what they want. I feel really confident about this. It's when they move so fast. Now, if they move fast on the scene, you're like, oh, I nailed that scene. And then you'll go to another scene and go, okay, they're taking their time with it. So they really did like that one scene. But it's when they're like, looks good.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't believe you anymore.
All the way in the back.
Cherami, what's your thoughts on the new show that's coming out in October of Brave Witches?
Oh, Stray Witches, the movie?
Oh, it's another series of Brave Witches. That's what it's called.
What is it? Is it a spin-off of Stray Witches?
It's a different group.
Oh, cool. Obviously, I know so much about it. I'm really excited to watch it, actually. So it's just a different, it's just like a different striker unit, or not a striker unit. It's just a different group of girls. Cool.
Are you hoping that your character's in the show?
I mean, yeah, that would be awesome. I don't think she would be, unless she's just like, I'm gonna visit everybody that's making an anime about some strike witches. But yeah, no, I would be really interested to see how that works. I know that we worked on the movie, and so I wonder if any of the new characters that were introduced in the movie are in the series that you're talking about. Like if that's how it.
Because there's one character that looks like Yoshika.
Oh, is it really?
She does look like her, but I'm like, I don't think it's her though.
I'll have to investigate. That would be really cool.
Because it comes out in, I believe, October though.
Okay, cool. So it comes out in Japan in October.
Yeah.
So it has. I would imagine Funimation would license it, but maybe not. Sometimes it's trickier than we think.
Maybe be like Sentai or Aniplex or something.
Yeah, who knows? That would be cool. Thanks for letting me know. I'll have to check that out. That sounds fun. Hopefully it is Yoshi.
It'd be like, cause don't they, I haven't seen it, but Soul Eater Not show, don't they
Yeah.
make cameos in that or something?
For Soul Eater Not, it was the like prequel to Soul Eater. So my characters showed up in Soul Eater Not, but they were not the same type they were before. This was okay. So
They were ghetto bang.
they were really tough chicks,
Yeah.
and they worked in Death Bucks, which is a lot like Starbucks. Imagine that. And so they were really tough girls. And in Soul Eater, my character was she could be tough when she wanted to be, but for the most part she was just a little quirky, a little off, a little left of center, I guess, which is what I loved so much, because I just had the freedom to be like such a weirdo. I was unleashed. That's really who I am inside. That's my spirit animal. Yes.
When you got to the fairy dance arc of Sword Art Online Season 1, and you saw like what the situation Asuna was in, what was that like? You know, seeing her like being trapped by what's his name again?
Well, it's never a fun thing to see any character in that situation, especially when it's your character. Then it becomes really difficult. And I know it's very controversial. A lot of people say, why would they allow such a strong character to be in that situation? And why didn't she respond the way that anybody wanted her to? But what I like about the show And what I like about humans in general is we never know how we're going to respond to a situation until we're in it. And it's nobody's job to judge and say, she should handle it this way. Well, we don't know how, in that situation, if you're in that place, and I, thank goodness, have never been locked away or kidnapped and had to figure out a way out. But I would imagine if you're in that situation, you have one shot to get out.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that everything is lined up perfectly, because if anything goes wrong, you are in a big predicament. I love that about Sword Art Online is that it explores varying degrees of strength. There's emotional strength from the male characters. There's physical strength from the female characters. There's also the quiet maternal strength of a female, and it's really interesting and not always depicted in a lot of cartoons to show all of those varying degrees of strength. And it was nice to get to see all those different layers all in one character. Now, as far as performance goes, Todd was terrifying, and he knows that I feel that way about his performance. And that definitely gave me a lot to work off of. So I just really had to respond to creepy Todd, and really, my work was done. Just my natural response to creepy Todd. He's just a good actor. It comes easy to him.
He is, because we got back a few minutes ago in his autograph session.
Yeah.
Because, like, when he signed the interview DVD that you signed
Oh,
yesterday.
yeah, awesome.
Wrote Stay Groovy, maybe that's one of his lines.
You never know what that
It's just a
Yeah.
just a Todd moment.
Did you have a question, Yellow Shirt? Yes.
Would you mind doing a patio question?
Sure. Is there, I'll do the giraffe one. Yeah, it's so funny. Giraffe, giraffe, I'm gonna break your neck.
They like giraffes too much.
I mean, the reason, she doesn't actually break a human giraffe's neck. She's doing a test, and she colors the Scantron yellow and makes a giraffe with the Scantron. Which, let's talk about how impressive that is.
That is pretty impressive.
And then she breaks the giraffe's neck with the Scantron.
I should have thought of that. when was taking
I should have
standardized test.
I mean, obviously, that would get you an A.
Obviously. In the red and black one.
Can you do an Asuna Yuki impression?
I don't know if I can do Yuki right now. Because if you were here earlier, I don't know what the weather is.
I'm gonna kill your voice.
Yeah,
I can do an Asuna. I'll just do one of the lines. Okay. Even if a monster beats me and I die, I won't lose to this world. Yeah. That was in the trailer for the first season, and that's why I know that line so well, is Bryce and I were signing for our very first autograph signing, and the trailer was on a loop. So for 2 hours, we heard that 15 to 30 second trailer. So they had told Bryce and I, because we talked too much, to just say hello, thank you, and goodbye, because we were taking too much time with the line. And they said, do whatever you have to occupy yourself. So Bryce and I would say all of the lines in the trailer as we're signing stuff. So I'm like, I think everybody in that line thinks like those voice actors are crazy. Like all they're doing is quoting every line of the trailer. And it was because we were in big trouble for talking.
Yeah, they're kind of strict at those things.
Because they had tickets. They had to get through all their tickets.
Yeah. This reminds me of July when we had to do that. They were yelling at us in the back to like hurry up, and we're like, it's not our fault. It's Alex's fault.
Yeah. Well, we also did that in Sailor Moon too. We had a bunch of signings this year, and they gave tickets, and everybody has to get through the tickets. And so for Sailor Moon, for Sword Art Online, we get very punch drunk the later the autograph session goes. Everything's funny, even if it's really not. During Sailor Moon, Amanda Miller, who voices Sailor Jupiter, was drawing on the other actors or our cups inappropriate things on our hand. I don't know how that happened. We're like, Amanda, your hand is holding the Sharpie and it was on my hand. I don't know how that happened. It's right here. She's
I'm glad I was sitting on the opposite side of you and not next to Amanda for that one. Because I saw the aftermath of that.
Yeah, it was
and I
ridiculous.
like,
She drew something inappropriate on my cup, and everybody was like, "You might want to turn that around."
no, they're cherries. It's fine.
It was just
cherries.
That's
Cherries.
what I thought it looked like. She was like, "That wasn't my intention."
Forgot the actual question.
Me too.
I don't remember what we were talking about.
Oh, the Asuna and Yuki.
Oh,
And I was
yeah,
like,
that's
I don't
right.
wanna kill your voice.
I feel like I had something. Oh, that's what I was gonna add about the like remembering that one line. Because usually people are like, do the voice, and you're like, okay, what do you want me to say? And they're like, I don't know. So it's like come prepared, because like we have to do like 200 lines sometimes for some of these characters.
And we never get the scripts ahead of time.
No.
So we read them that one time, and then that's usually it.
Yeah, so usually when I think of something for like Ryuko or whatever from Kill la Kill, it's usually the line that they have you repeat for every session.
Your reference.
So so it's either that or the yelling, because I had to do that like 20 million times, and then that's never a good idea because it's like yelling for however many times people are like, do the voice, and it's like
I'll do the voice as it dies in the screen.
yeah. So come prepared and give us lines. Be nice to your voice actors.
I had to do it yesterday with the Pinky Swear with Hunter x Hunter.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
My voice is already going, and I shouldn't have done that, but I did it.
Sorry.
I did it. It's fine. That was my choice. Yeah.
I just saw your commercials you had on your YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and then I saw one commercial for the Tall Popcorn action figure.
Oh, I didn't do that one. Oh, okay, it was John. I was like, I don't remember doing that. Was I kidnapped? Yeah. I think, did Vic do that one? I don't remember who that was. That was funny though. I've seen that one. I've also seen the Todd of the Rings movie. I think that was Vic who did that. He had a convention in New Zealand, and so he did a Lord of the Rings spoof, but it was Todd of the Rings. And it was I think it was the action figure, the Todd action figure, and they just made it gold, and they wore it around their neck. But they had great locations because they were in New Zealand.
So cool.
It's ridiculous.
And also creepy.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yes. Is your question? Yes.
No, I was like, me? I
Harley
wasn't
Quinn.
sure. So it's not really a question, it's more like a request. Can you sign my poster?
I will totally sign posters. I'll probably have to do it at the table just to make sure that I don't know if they need this room afterwards, and I don't want to get in trouble, but I will be at the table, so I'll sign it then.
Like, what time?
Do what?
Like, what time afterwards?
I'll
Like
probably be there at like 2:30 to 3. Will you still be there? Okay.
What are your favorite episodes of Sailor Moon?
Favorite episodes of
That's right, this is the Sailor Moon panel.
Yeah.
Oh man. I play another character in Sailor Moon, Reika, who is Motoki, the arcade guy's girlfriend, which is funny because my boyfriend plays Motoki, so.
Oh
we
my
got to play
gosh!
Boyfriend and girlfriend.
That's awesome.
And that's how I got into Sailor Moon. But that episode I think is really fun, not just because I'm in it, but just Jupiter's reactions to that character, because she's like super obsessed with him at that time. And
She's just boy crazy. in
She
general.
is.
I mean, really. Oh,
And she's like basically trying to sabotage the girlfriend, but she ends up like not sabotaging her. And she's like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I shouldn't do this. And she ends up like making the girlfriend move to Africa basically, because she's like, you need to like realize your dreams. If you're gonna become an anthropologist, you need to just go out and do it. And she's like, you're right. I'm going to miss you, Motoki, but I'm moving to Africa.
oh my gosh. That is so something Amanda Miller would do. Like indirectly. I remember, I have a couple of favorite episodes. I know the nurse episode where Venus has to take care of Usagi and she's not doing great at it. That was, I think, one of the first times I really got to be super wacky and comedic. Because Venus, for the most part, with the exception of like her misquoting quotes and loving idols, she's pretty much the leader of the group and like pretty reserved and confident. And so when I got to be crazy and wacky being a nurse, that was really fun. I also really liked her episode where you got to see her backstory with the guy she was in love with for the longest time, and that he was too old for her, and that she held no resentment. I thought that was a really beautiful and emotional episode. And then in Crystal, I really loved the whole arc where they're like trying to do this without spoiling anything, where they are like battling for their prince counterparts. And every day I would come in, I was like, they're finally gonna get their boyfriends. I'm so ready for this moment. But I really just loved those episodes. They were really emotional, really strong, and I really got to see how much love they had, and that they really fight with love. I mean, yeah, it's battling, but it's like we love them so much. We're gonna make them remember who they truly are, which I really liked. So I think those are some of my favorites. I know there's one in Super S that's coming, I think it was Super S, where she goes on 2 dates with 2 different guys. And I heard that one was gonna be really funny, and I'm really excited to work on that one whenever we get to do it. So
I have to take a break for an entire season. Like
What?
Uranus and Neptune don't really show up at all, I think, in the next season.
What?
They don't come back until stars. I don't know why.
you guys are like, bye, we're going to
Very
Africa
much.
for a season. We gotta go undo what Jupiter did.
Yes.
Do you have any
How amazing would that be?
Do you have any favorites as Uranus?
Favorites as Uranus.
The one that we saw at Expo was a
Yeah,
beautiful
the
episode.
background story I think is really cool. I really like that one. And just really anytime they're in that helicopter that just kind of appears out of nowhere, I think is really... Or like they're driving and it's like they're 15, 16 years old and it's like, we've got our licenses, we're driving convertibles. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Where did you get the money for
I
this?
don't know if you've ever seen Cruel Intentions, but you know when she's driving his roadster at the very end of the movie. When I was watching I can't remember the name of the episode, but it was the backstory event we saw at Expo, and they're driving away in the convertible.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, this is like such a Cruel Intentions shot. It was like very reminiscent for me. That was so funny.
Yeah.
Reese Withers, baby Reese Withers.
We've got a little less than 5 minutes. Oh, now all the questions come out, right guys? Let's go with Sailor Mars.
Nice.
Can you guys do your impression of sailors saying the transformation lines?
I cannot, unfortunately.
We'll do, yeah, that would kill your voice.
I
for
did it
sure.
yesterday. Somebody recorded it, I'm sure. Watch it on YouTube. I would otherwise, I'm so sorry.
Do you want me, so Venus Power makeup, will that work? Just for, okay. Venus Power Makeup! You know, it's really just me yelling. Maybe a little deeper.
And in the white hat back here. Yes.
Cherami, do you have a favorite Liechtenstein line?
Sure. Let me think of her.
Baby brother, I made you these pajamas with the ribbon on them. I hope you love them as much as I love you.
It is Big Brother, but you know, baby brother, big brother. Maybe she has another country. Maybe it's the refugee Olympic team. Guys, I'm so serious. I'm so excited about the refugee Olympic team. I want them to take home all the medals. Not all the medals, but there's only 10 of them competing. I'm really excited. If you don't know about them, please research. It's like this is the Olympics answer to trying to allow for the refugees to have a place when they're in war-torn nations. So that's why they're competing, is so that other countries will see refugees are not going to bring terror and negativity to their country. So that's why they're competing. It was really an emotional thing of them coming representing their countries and saying like, we don't have a home, but the Olympics is our home, and we've been training for this all our life, and we just are fighting. We're just here representing peace at this Olympics. And I was like, that's so cool.
That is cool.
So I thought that was really exciting.
For the underdog.
Yeah, clearly that's where I am. I love the underdog. Yeah, sure. So we do one.
You haven't asked one, so let's do the last one.
Wait, me?
Yeah,
With the camera.
Oh, have you ever been pranked in the studio?
all the time. I apparently am very gullible. There's been a giant mannequin dressed as a Hannibal Lecter, creepy, bloody person that was left in the studio for me to find in the dark. I turned on the lights and I turned with my back to him, didn't see him. Once I finally was, made aware that he was there, my response was to hug him. I don't know. I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, hi, so good to see you, weird, bloody, creepy man. Bryce likes to prank me a lot. I know Todd's done it a couple of times. Todd would always like to tell me, and he was directing me, my character was going to die that day. It happened a lot. And they never would. He was like, I guess we didn't get as far today as we thought. And I was like, why do I keep getting booked for sessions for the show? My character's dying. So I get pranked all the time.
I don't think I've gotten any that bad. Even if I had, I don't know if I could top any of those. Yeah, there's still more on the horizon.
There's an opportunity.
There's an opportunity somewhere,
I mean,
I'm sure.
I'll let some people know. Don't worry.
Don't.
Erica hasn't been pranked. Make it good, but make it nice. Don't be mean about
I'll start punching people. That'll be bad.
it. Do you really? Do you punch people?
I mean, when I get scared, I might.
Okay.
So if it's a scare, don't.
I won't. I'll be like, if you're gonna prank her, don't scare her. And if you do scare her, get far away.
Yeah, do it. I think that's all we have time for. If you have any other questions, we have autographs later.
Yeah.
Autographs. So.
And we also have a panel tonight at 6?
I think so, yes.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
it'll be all 3 of us. Oh gosh. We're gonna get pranked there, I have a feeling.
No creepy dead then.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.